Jack Warner alleges massive deception in Extradition Saga. Judge reserves ruling in constitutional challenge against the state. Although extradition proceedings against former government minister Jack Warner have been permanently halted, the legal battle is far from over. High Court Justice Karen Reed, who stayed the extradition on September 23, has now reserved judgment in Warner's constitutional claim against the state. The claim accuses the government of massive deception in its handling of the extradition process and seeks substantial damages for alleged breaches of justice. Core allegations: diplomatic failure and institutional misconduct. Warner's legal team, led by senior counsel Fiard Hossein, argued that the state failed to disclose a critical diplomatic requirement, a specialty arrangement between Trinidad and Tobago and the United States, needed to validate the extradition request under domestic law. Hossein contended that the authority to proceed, ADP, signed in September 2015 by then-Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi, was legally invalid without this arrangement in place. He dismissed contrary claims by the state's former representative, James Lewis, KC, as absolute nonsense. The heart of this case is the conduct of the Attorney General's office, Hossein told the court. It was a gross failure and a willful disregard for the truth. He likened the state's actions to a Watergate-style cover-up, asserting that key officials knew by April 2016 that no specialty agreement existed, yet continued to prosecute the matter all the way to the Privy Council. All representations made to the court were fictitious and fraudulent, Hossein declared, noting that the Privy Council's ruling to restart extradition proceedings was based on the false assumption that the specialty arrangement had been secured. A breach of justice from the start. Warner was arrested in May 2015 following a U.S. request for extradition on charges linked to fraud, racketeering, and money laundering in the global FIFA corruption scandal. From the outset, Warner challenged the legitimacy of the request, citing issues of specialty, double criminality, and treaty validity. Hossein argued that Warner's arrest should have been based on a properly constituted request, compliant with Article 14 of the extradition treaty. The absence of the specialty arrangement, he said, amounted to a fundamental breach of justice. Procedural dispute and last-minute filings. Before arguments began, the hearing was complicated by a procedural dispute over late submissions from former government and central authority officials, Faris Al-Rawi, Netram Kalesser, and Graham McLean, whose conduct is under scrutiny. Robert Strang, KC, representing the Attorney General's office alongside Shariza Khan-Hines, informed the court that current AG John Jeremy, SC, had no objection to the trio submitting statements in their defense, despite not being formal parties to the case. However, the state received those statements only hours before the hearing, leaving insufficient time for review or response. Justice Reed questioned whether the hearing could proceed. Hossein objected to any delay, stating, "We are ready to go. We will proceed based on what has already been filed and nothing further." He insisted the new statements did not alter the unequivocal record of institutional failure. Justice Reed agreed and allowed the hearing to continue based solely on the existing submissions. Compensation and vindication. The court must now decide whether Warner is entitled to compensation and from what date. Strang argued that any award should begin from the issuance of the ADP in September 2015. Hossein countered that the breach began with Warner's arrest in May 2015, which led to him spending a night in prison after failing to secure bail. He also called for vindicatory damages, asserting that financial compensation alone would not suffice to redress the violation of Warner's constitutional rights. Strang responded that vindicatory damages should only be considered if the compensatory award is deemed inadequate. Warner's legal team, including Rishi Das, SC, Sasha Bridge-Mohansing, and Adam Hossein, is asking the court to make formal findings of intentional deception and systemic failure by the former Attorney General's office. Justice Reed has reserved her ruling, including any decision on damages, to a date yet to be announced. Warner declined to comment as he exited the Judicial Waterfront Center in Port of Spain.